My name is One Survivor, and today I'm going to survive 100 days in hardcore BetterMinecraft. BetterMinecraft is modded Minecraft, but it sticks to the game's dynamics. It's full of beautiful biomes and a lot to explore and adventure. Also, it has tons of magical mobs and also dangerous ones as well. I would do a lot in this 100 days and have a lot of fun doing it as well. Oh, it's cold. If you guys enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot and helps me create content like this. Anyways, this is 100 days in BetterMinecraft. Day 1 was like any normal 100 days video, crafting and chopping down trees, as you usually would do. I would then create a wooden axe, which with a wooden axe you'd be able to chop down a tree in one chop. With my now new wooden tools, I went to the mines and started mining cobblestone, which I would then turn into stone tools, as that's what you need to mine iron. I headed down into the caves, but wouldn't find any iron at all, and just coal. After leaving the mine, I found this little gravestone, which I would immediately mine up. I am not leaving anything here. I would then actually get some iron tools and some iron armor. After that, I went exploring for a little bit, looking for a nice little hut or just somewhere to call home. I wouldn't find anything, and so I sheltered up for the night. While I'm in my little hut, I found something you can do. Oh! I could do that. After creating a shield and just some iron tools, I started digging down into the mines. After digging for a little bit, I find a nice little cave and was immediately greeted by some skeletons. After dealing with that, I continued on into the caves. While mining, I made a horrible mistake of making an Enderman angry. The cave turned out to be bigger than expected, and while doing that, I had to deal with a bunch of mobs. No problem, though. I would find ores, but I wouldn't find the best ores in my mining trip, only being able to mine up a few diamonds. After being down here, it was like a little nostalgia from the Incredibles movie that I used to watch as a kid. Oh no. This looks like the place for the Incredibles where like Mr. Incredible threw the freaking robot into the lava and the guy just died. So I was mining for quite some time, so I'm gonna finish up this little mining trip with a nice little mining montage. I'm gonna be honest, the loot here was not that great, but I didn't really care all that much as I was in the starting ages of this Minecraft world, so iron and gold was all I really needed. Day 2, I sort of just smelted iron pretty much for the entire day, as I needed it to upgrade. Now that I had my iron armor, I could go on a nice little adventure. After traveling for a bit and killing mobs with my diamond axe, I had a decent amount of food. And yeah, I would also come across a certain structure which would help me even more on my journey. I went mining and looting in the dungeon for quite a few days, but I would even find a couple of dungeons, but the chests here weren't the best. And so, after being constantly disappointed, like how Eternals turned it out, I was pretty much done with this place. and just started wandering around. I would have to fight a couple of mobs. They wouldn't do much because I'm just that good at the game. And I would head up on day 5. But after finally reaching the surface, it'd be nighttime, and there was no way I'm stepping out of here. Once it was finally day 6, I headed out of the cave, as I can now explore, and I ran into a nice little friend while on the way down this mountain. What's that thing? Oh! After dealing with the orc, I went on a bit of a hunting spree, just killing any mobs at this point, as I was gonna need food. Now I found more graves, and of course I looted it. Who do you think I am? I would adventure for quite some time, and ran across a taiga too, as well, and came across another grave, which I wouldn't mind. Night was on the way, so I dug in for the night as well, and smelted the iron that I gained from the mine shaft, which I would then find out I could create a backpack. Spoiler alert, I would upgrade this backpack for literally nothing. I wouldn't use it for that much. Once I left the place on day 7, I found a pack of wolves, and from the bones I'd gotten from the mine shaft, I tamed literally all of them. Yeah. And I took the wolves on a nice little adventure, as I wanted to find a spot perfect for my house. After a good amount of traveling, I finally found a place that I found suit for a home. I wanted to go for a cabin theme, as I was in fact in a taiga biome. And well, just a heads up, I'm not that much of a builder, so don't get mad at me, okay? But here's a building montage for you. I'm gonna have to pause the montage real quick to mention the phantoms. Yeah, these guys, while building my house, would not leave me alone. Like, it was a ridiculous amount of how many of them attacked me. But despite all of this, I would continue to try to build my house. So here's the montage again. Alright, so now that my house was pretty well built, I gotta be honest, I wasn't really enjoying this after seeing other cabins. But it doesn't really matter because I found this place as home, and I was pretty proud of it. After creating a small little kitchen, I would then go mining for andesite, as andesite allows you to find some custom things. I left my dog outside on accident, but don't worry, I came to go get him on day 13. He's fine, alright? There I am. Okay, don't worry. Alright, so on day 13, I also headed out on a bit of a, adventure. I was bored from building, and I wanted in on some action. While traveling, I found one of those giant tower thingies, and I went to go explore the tower. But after seeing that the ladders apparently don't lead up to the top, I started building up. And this was a mistake, because my dog immediately teleported to where I was building, and this led to a lot of near-death experiences for him. I actually named the dog at this point. I named him Buddy. Yep, I'm so creative at dog names. But instead of just sitting him down and keeping him, I kept standing him up, and then I accidentally picked him up. So now that I had my dog in my arms, I had to think of what to do with him, and then that's when I looked down and thought, hey, what if I dropped him off? No, I didn't throw my dog off of this. I actually went back down and put him, in a safe location. Don't worry, he's fine. But I would eventually get back up to the top of the tower, and I gotta be honest, I have no idea what that eye thing is, or whatever that thing is. I didn't use it. And so, I left, and I found a ship and a house. Now, I wasn't really thinking anything about this, but all I had on the mind was, ooh, maybe there's loot over here. And this boat is a pillager boat. They're full of pillagers with whatever tipped arrows these are, and there's some axe dudes around here as well. I approached the house at first, which contained just some, zombies wearing fish hats. They were quite annoying, but I would deal with them and broke the spawner immediately afterward. And now it was time to attack the pillager outpost. I charged in with the shield and thought that was pretty effective, but trying to get up to the boat was the main problem, as I would lower my shield to try to hit this dude in front of me, and then they'd launch a barrage of arrows. Using my axe, I managed to break in, and that's when I started doing my damage. I had thought I had killed all of the pillagers, and the loot was not the best, I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't good, even for a starting player, the loot was bad. I'd sleep in the fishing house, and then I'd wake up to, this guy. Managed to escape, but I wasn't done yet, as I had to try to get the loot. I thought it would be better underground, but I got distracted by a grave, and the loot here wasn't good. So after looting the grave, I approached the boat again, and guess who was there? I don't know why I keep bringing up the shield thinking it's gonna protect me, but I still don't know. But I dealt with the first villager, and I wasn't done, as I continued going up, I ran into another pillager, and he immediately charged at me. Again, I tried to stop him, and I almost died here. At that split second, I remember that the pillager damage goes through shields, and so after continuing, I attacked the pillager, but he hit me again, and so I ran for my life, heading toward this tiny little river, and this would be where I killed the pillager, finally being victorious, and now I could loot the boat. After breaking the pillager spawner, I started looting, and the loot was terrible. Literally, they had all these food chests, and it was full of, melons. That's useless. But I'd even have to fight a bear to get to Buddy, because apparently this bear just likes him so much. And then me and Buddy continued our journey, and we'd run into another wolf, but to stop myself from the temptation of taming him, I went straight to mining the coal, as I did not need more dogs. So, I found this little thing, and guess what? It wasn't a grave. But I thought it was at the time. I'm just an idiot. But by nightfall, I would finally make it home, and I was safe. Now it was day 15, and I was a poor-looking individual, and so I decided to make a strip mine. But I had to make it look nice, as I think that's just what people do now. And yeah, literally, there's just a staircase leading down. It's like a one-block staircase. It's kind of dumb. But after grabbing all of my loot for the, mining trip, I have to show you my kitchen. I added a little sink here, and the table, and I think that's a refrigerator. I don't know. But I'd finally start heading down, and this is when I spent a lot of time down here, like 15 days, okay? I even found an amethyst geo, and through the mod pack, you can craft amethyst stuff. I didn't know this, and so I mined amethyst. Spoiler alert, I never crafted anything amethyst the entire 100 days. But I would continue strip mining down to diamond level, and would come across a nice cave, full of just creepers, spiders, skeletons, zombies, you name it, it was down here, and it was hunting me. There was no escape. After running for my life for quite a bit, I found a lush cave full of axolotls. And of course, I took one. I got a baby blue axolotl out of this. It was so adorable. And yeah, now that I had my blue axolotl, I could continue my mining journey, finding this giant lava drop, and immediately turning away as I thought I might get shot off by like a skeleton. I didn't find any diamonds, so I went strip mining for a little bit and immediately left it because I just came across a cave again and started mining around here instead. I would find some diamonds though while caving, and so that kind of boosted my morale to continue my mining trip. Finding iron and gold was probably the main thing, as I was like in the negatives of my Y. Yeah, I kept on traveling and would even find another dungeon. This was a skeleton dungeon, and I came across in the middle of a gunfight. Like, these two were dueling out, and I kind of helped the skeleton in no armor, but the skeleton with the chain still won. I don't know how. And it was gonna look like another boring chest until I opened the second chest. Now that I had an enchanted golden apple on my disposal, I felt a little more safe to be just a little bit more risky. And so I went down to that giant lava pool I just showed you earlier, which was a bit of a mistake. After running around for a little bit, I think I found something worse than a baby zombie, and it's a baby skeleton. Well, okay, sir, buddy, okay, listen.
This place sucks.
It's a child. Not only did this man shoot me in the face with a bow, but he also had like a stone sword, like he was doing damage. And so after mining for a bit, my shield broke, and I was screwed, running for my life, being hit by zombies, and shot by the skeleton. I created a new little bunker to create a new shield. Now that I had my shield, I was sorta able to take on the skeletons, and I found a red slime. Didn't know this was Terraria, but hey. I would then look for diamonds down by this lava area, but I wouldn't find any, and instead I decided to mine some obsidian for an enchantment table. Now I would continue exploring the cave, but I wouldn't find anything worth showing or interesting. Now I left the little cave area because there's just nothing here, and I would find another dungeon. It didn't have good loot though. On my way to find the strip mine back home, I found these cool little crystal thingies. There's like the life crystal, moon crystal, and lunar crystal. And I wanted them because they were shiny, and so I began mining them, and I set myself on fire. Now, the crystals weren't that even useful, gotta be honest. After dealing with a couple of mobs, I would then try to head back home. Now, I found another Enderman, but I learned my lesson, so I wasn't gonna attack him this time. Now, yeah, this right here proves my stupidity. After literally trying to find my strip mine home, I looked around for a little bit, and with replay mod, I was easily being able to see that I was literally right on top of it. I don't know why I'm this dumb. I'm just am. And so then using the little mini map we have in the top right corner, I strip mined to my dog. After finding him, I picked up some coal and headed back home. Finally reaching the top, I would sleep, and the next day I used the crystals to find out what I could craft. Turns out, they really do nothing. Like, this is all you can craft with them. And I even decided to create a little tank for my blue axolotl, so he could be here with me for a while. After getting a name tag, I struggled to tame him because he's so tiny and so fast. It's hard to name these guys. But I also decided I wanted to name my other dogs, and I would name them Oak, Buddy, Bailey, I forgot, and Ash. Yeah, that's what my fourth dog's name was. Anyways, I decided I now needed to go on an adventure, as adventuring did give you good loot in BetterMinecraft. And so, I took Buddy on a bit of an exploration, and we came across a graveyard. Now, this wasn't just any graveyard. After mining it for a little bit, I was just looking around, seeing if I could find any cool or interesting loot. This is when I figured out I could get diamonds. And this is when I got really mad. I know, I spent hours mining just to figure out I could break a pot for diamonds. So I began looting the graveyard, and this was like the biggest score as a grave robber I had. And I didn't really think of it. I'd get golden apples and some enchanted golden apples. I was even jumped by a bear at one point, which scared me because I was already very tense from what was going on.
Oh no. Get him, buddy. Get him, buddy. Nice save, buddy.
Apparently, I wasn't done yet. I still had more grave robbing to do. After grave robbing this first graveyard, there was another one, which meant more diamonds, more golden apples, and occasionally an enchanted golden apple here and there. I think I had 3 enchanted golden apples at this point. I'd spend the night here at this creepy place, and I gotta be honest, I was prepared for something to jump out and literally rip my throat out at this point. Now, if you thought day 31 and 32 were weird, well, day 33, things got a lot weirder. Apparently, this place has a very dark history. After looting around for a bit, I came across an execution section of the graveyard. I guess this explains everything. Now, I was pretty creeped out, and there was a little book here, and at the time, the book wasn't important, but I'd end up reading it, and it's ridiculous. I don't understand why it's in the game, but it is. And after reading this, at this point, I was just like, nah, I want to leave. But there were a lot of chests here and a lot of graves to loot. So I ignored the entire death chamber and just immediately got to doing more grave robbing. And I would do a lot of grave robbing, not gonna lie, I did quite a bit. But every second time I did it, I felt like I was being watched. It even started raining. It literally started raining while I was here, and at this point, something was gonna kill me. So I immediately got up and left, and used my backpack for like once to store all my loot. After traveling for a bit, I found another graveyard. What is it with this mod and graveyards? My god. I would spend the night in a fishing hut, but I immediately got up and left. After being satisfied with all the loot I had gotten, I decided I needed to start like finding a general direction home. And I met these snow pigs. Then I found this little like well thingy, and I think you know what's gonna happen to this thing. Nope. But I was very curious, and so I decided I was gonna jump in that thing on day 100.
Ooh.
So I found this little wooden temple, and I gotta be real, the amount of creepers that showed up on the minimap really scared me away from this thing. After leaving, I found another graveyard. And of course I looted it, but still. I even found another horse too, as I had gotten a few saddles from, the graves I've been looting. So after saddling him up, I realized this guy was pretty fast. Now that I had a noble steed, I could travel around a lot faster. And I would travel through the lands, heading home with a horse and a decent amount of loot. Rivers would be the only thing that would stop me from going a good amount of speed on the way home. And after finally arriving home, I settled in. I didn't really think anything bad could happen on this day. But this would probably be one of the saddest days of the 100 days I had. Now, for most of day 34, it was spent doing some simple chores on, storage. And so now that I had a horse, I thought it was only right if I built him, like a little place to stay, using kind of the same slanted texture as my mining thing that I had. Pretty much the exact same thing. It would stay there though for like an entire 100 days, and I wasn't really angry with it, so I thought it was okay. I don't think it looks great though, to be honest. But I did go on a little traveling with my horse, and I ran into a couple of pillagers, so I had to kill them. I had Buddy kill the captain, as I knew if I killed that pillager, I would have gotten Bad Omen. But I got it anyway somehow, so I drank some milk after searching for a cow, and I put my horse in his little place. And it would only be seconds after placing that banner, I spotted another pillager scouting group. And so they were on my territory, so I decided to attack. This fight, oh god. I charged in with my diamond axe and Buddy at the ready. We stormed in. The pillagers immediately started firing at us, but we attacked. There was one pillager left, and Buddy would attack him, but would miss the pillager and fell to his death, killing him instantly. Buddy? No. He died. Buddy's death, it hurts. Okay, Buddy was probably one of my favorite dogs and was my best friend, and now he was gone. After putting up the second banner, I went to go tell the other dogs the news that Buddy had died in action. Honestly, I don't think they understood me, but to me, I'm pretty sure they understood that Buddy was not coming back. And now, with a heavy heart, I had to honor Buddy's death. And so, I took the horse out to the one place I knew that could help me honor Buddy. Yeah, if you could guessed it, I went to the graveyard to grab some tombstones. I was pretty much a huge grave robber at this point, so why not rob tombstones too? I also would make a new companion, Oak, my other dog, and after returning home, I created the tombstone for Buddy. Rest in peace, Buddy, the bravest dog a man could have. Buddy was probably my best friend, and having him dead hurt so much. I was interrupted by a bear, but I also needed a flint and steel. So I went inside and grabbed one. That's why I went inside, okay? No other reason. I placed a candle down to honor Buddy, saying a few of my final goodbyes. Bye, Buddy. Rest in peace, man. after taking my dogs inside, it hurt. I felt like I could have done more, and the memory of him jumping off, it just flashes back in my head. I feel like I could have done something, but I failed. Rest in peace, buddy.
Buddy. Nice save, buddy.
Anyways, day 35, I decided to do a little bit of terraforming, and I decided to also build some villager houses, as in fact, I was going to go look to kidnap some villagers. Because that's like one of the essentials of Minecraft. After creating an interior, just because I wanted the place to look nice, I wanted to keep the cabin theme, that took up kind of most of the day. I then got on my horse and then headed out to go look for some villagers. Now, the journey wasn't all that bad. I'd actually used advanced water traveling techniques to get around water, and my horse was decently fast, so traveling on land wasn't that much of a problem. Came across a grass igloo, which is basically a snow igloo, and it's the exact same. It has zombie villagers, a bed, it has literally everything a normal igloo would have, except it's made of grass. I was really happy about this, as I figured out this was going to be how I got my villagers. By then breaking in and making a little sleeping area for my horse, I then headed on down to see my two new villagers, the two people I was going to kidnap. Once I finally arrived, I immediately went to curing the zombie villager. Oak tried to get in the way, but I managed to sneak in and give the zombie villager my golden apple. I then built a little staircase so the villagers could just literally walk up here. But first, I had to make that possible by digging a 2x2 hole. Then I let one of the villagers out for him to, go up the ladder. Oh wait, So after building a staircase, the villager finally came up to the top, and now I had one villager. I created a boat for him to sit in, and that is when we begun our journey. Our journey on the most insane boat ride you can ever experience. On day 37, I finally got the villager to the base, arriving in my boat as I had been traveling for quite an entire day now, but I was pretty happy to finally get him here. So after figuring him out and getting him up on the next floor, I broke into the second house, and then I went on my boat journey back to the base. This boat journey was basically all muscle memory and luck, as I also used the mini-map to help me find where I came from. The boat journey, 6 out of 10. It wasn't bad. And so, after killing this rainbow sheep, I found my horse literally in the middle of nowhere. It made no sense to me how he even got here in the first place, but I'm not going to question it. I found the igloo, and I figured out how he got out. I figured it out. After fixing that problem, I went down to go get the second villager. Now, this guy, yeah, he was easy. We got him in the boat and started heading back to base. The journey, it was pretty fast, and I'm a 10 out of 10 boat driver. You did not see that. But I'd be boat driving for quite some time, and I had really no problem getting him to where he needed to be. After I had transported the villager, I went back for my horse and dog, and this is when I created boat traveling techniques, where I sat on the horse and then he'd swim. It was very fun. We'd arrive home on day 38, and it was a very, very joyous sight to finally see my house and be able to stay. Because that meant no more villagers. I honestly don't really like villagers all that much. Now, once entering the town, I now had to see. Oh, by the way, that he's here. The 2 villagers are here, so just in case you thought. After picking up the seeds of my upper garden and doing whatever that is, I then re-put all of the wheat and all that into the little place here. Made one of the villagers a Fletcher and a farmer, and then I made them have a child and made him an armor. I made him armor, and then they had another child. So my main source of getting emeralds was in fact from chopping trees. Trees equal oak planks equals 6. It only takes 32 sticks to get an emerald. It's broken. I'm scamming these people. So by day 40 I had pretty much a full set of diamond armor. And the armor gave me my final set, which was diamond boots. I now had a full set of diamond armor and I was feeling good. So I decided to spend day 40 building up, another villager house for a mending book to put on the diamond armor. So I struggled getting this next villager out, and I struggled with villagers overall. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of some montage music here. While I waited for the villagers to do the birds and the bees, I decided to build an enchantment table, kind of like house, kind of like a library sort of place. Honestly, it took more time than it should have. The first librarian I dealt with, I wanted mending on him, so it took a little bit longer than I was hoping it did, but I would finally get mending and be able to move on to another villager. And that's what I did. When I finally got mending, I was pretty happy with it on day 46, and I went back to my daily routine of chopping down trees, getting oak planks, and then I would turn it into wood. I'd turn it into sticks to give it to this guy, the Fletcher, my MVP, my main man. Anyways, I'm going to continue the montage because I did a lot of trading throughout these days. I would also on day 46 go hunting for sheep, and I would find some around the end of the day. And about on day 47 would be the time when I came home. Day 48 was the actual start of the enchanting room. Just one book and just one freaking enchantment table. Now I needed another child, and I got a child, and I was really creepy. I was really creepy on day 48. We're just not even gonna talk about it, okay? Day 49, the child came outside. I don't know how, he just did. And I was okay with it. So I decided also on day 49 that I was in fact gonna need some more books, so I headed on out on my adventure. I was also attacked by some bears. So apparently bears drop leather, anyways, I would, after a few bits of traveling, would come across this pretty cool looking mountain. And traversing this thing on a horse was not a good thing. But I found this grave in like the middle of the ocean, which I immediately robbed. But traveling anyways was a quite difficult task, and on day 50, it would really prove it, as me and my horse and my dog were all taking damage from falling. I also would find a decent looking place. Now, if you didn't know, BetterMinecraft has these underground villages, and out in the distance, I thought I found one, and after Oak almost pulled a buddy, I continued. I found the little place. Now, this place is like basically an abandoned underground village. Spoiler alert, there was nothing here, and so I immediately ditched it, continuing my journey with my horse. Towards the end of day 50 though, I did actually come across an underground village, but because it was becoming night, I decided I was going to sleep. Now, when I woke up the next day, I went down and I found all the books I needed. This was it. All the books right here, and I immediately stole them all. I left no books behind, and I immediately left. Now on day 51, I continued my journey home. This was pretty much what I needed to do now, because I had all the books I needed. I just needed home and to make it into profits. I even became very smart and placed a waterfall down so I wouldn't take fall damage when jumping from the cliff. I am so smart. I know. I would arrive home on day 52, finally happy to be back with all the books I needed to start working. I then also had some sugarcane, which I had planted on the outskirts of my base, which I would then turn into paper to make a more profitable enchantment table. I would then trade with the villager, because why not? I need emeralds for basically everything now. And then I went and crafted more bookshelves. That's kind of all day 52 was. Crafting, trading, and placing all of my bookshelves. I had maxed out the enchantment table with 15 enchantment bookshelves. Honestly, I don't know why I did this. I didn't really even use it anyways, as I had the villagers that I needed. Day 53, my villager, the baby one that was in the fence, they'd escaped. Yeah, it wasn't the most effective move, so they were just wandering around. Luckily, they're not dead. Now, I would turn this villager into a Unbreaking 3 villager, as that was the most profitable thing for me. Day 54, I needed protection 4, so I could wear my diamond armor and not worry about being killed instantly with it on. And so, I decided to begin the project. First, I had to build out a space for the house, and then I had to kidnap I had to create a villager, or influence a villager for the baby villager, I don't know. But I would build the house anyways. It was a small, basic kind of cabin, as you would see at a spruce villager place. That's kind of been the theme for all of the houses. I just think they look more cabin-y. But after a good and long struggle, I would make the villager I put in the house protection 4. About towards when night started coming for day 57, I started traveling this villager, and that is when I got... Actually, no. The villager was pretty distracted by that smoker, so it took some time, and by the time I got on the boat, I was warned of a blood moon. If you don't know what a blood moon is, then a blood moon basically just enhances the amount of spawns that can happen for an undead mob. So zombies, creepers, spiders, zombies, they all just spawn at a consistent rate. So I had blockaded my house, and I was constantly on watch from my house, making sure no zombies or just anything came to come kill me. Now that the blood moon was over, I was free to go and finally put the villager back in his house, who had escaped and now is at Buddy's grave. So I put him back in a boat and made sure to block up the back of my house so he doesn't go back inside again. Now, once I finally got him in the house, my goal was to make that man a protection 4. So after doing some organization and some trading for arrows, I then headed out to go and get some insane protection 4 trades. 59 was literally all trading with this man right here. I really wanted protection 4, and also on day 59 I crafted that crossbow with a scope on it. Day 60 I decided I needed wool, and so I went out on a bit of an adventure, not even traveling all that far until I came across another taiga biome. While I was going through the taiga biome, I came across this ravine right here. Trying to jump over it, I failed and fell. Now I needed to find a way out of here. With some blocks that I had, I decided it would be probably the smartest decision to build a little bit of a staircase up, so me and my horse can make it safely out of here. But in doing so, my dog then finally had the ability to walk to me, making this a little bit more dangerous. So after running away, my dog had a perfect route to walk off, and Oak had fallen. He had teleported back to his death. You kidding me? Not Oak! Oh, not Oak. Freaking dying. After speedrunning the 5 stages of grief, I decided it would probably be best to go and look for wool, and we can mourn him later. So I went out and killed a bunch of sheep that day, killing anything that I saw or anything that was woolly. I then came across a giant boat. Not so sure what it was, but these boats are pretty kitted out, full of skeletons with pretty good bows, and it's full of skeletons with swords, axes, skeletons riding dolphins. It's got it all. 61 came and I decided this was gonna be how I honored Oak, by destroying and burning down both of the boats, killing any creature that was inside of them. After killing the designed sheep, I went into this house and almost died. The loot in that house was terrible, by the way. So I continued traveling and I headed all the way back home. Now, once I had arrived, on day 62, I decided it was time for me to get kitted up and prepare for my journey. Now, I had a few enchantments left on my diamond helmet, which I put on before I left. After that, it was time to suit up and head out to honor Oak by destroying both of the pillagers and the skeletons. Day 63, I put a little grave for Oak and called him the jumpiest dog that I could have, considering he had jumped off a couple of things before jumping off to his death. And now it was going to be me, my horse, and Ash to set off to fight the boat. And the boat skeletons? I would arrive late in the day, and so I wouldn't really attack the boat until late. The thing about these boats is that they have spawners on the outside of them, full of skeletons that'll end up being riding on dolphins. So my first plan of approach was to attack the first spawners. Oh my god. After that, it was time to board the ship. The skeletons stayed still, so they were kind of an easy target, but it would get harder as we went on as the fight, as they would constantly be shooting at me and being aggressive, taking a decent amount of my health, as I wasn't fully kitted out. And then the guys with the swords came. I tried using a crossbow attack from a distance, but that didn't really do much, as the guys with the swords, they spotted me and charged after. These guys were not that much of a problem. I could take them out with just in a back sprint. But then the feather swordmen came in. These guys had a lot more health than the others and did a lot more damage. They started to swarm me up, and they were burning me up, and that it wasn't a good experience. With my shield broken, it was kind of pointless to even stay, as I should invest in time to create another one. But instead, I decided to run in and just take more damage. Running in and getting an axe hit every now and then that I could, but I was really just getting completely whacked until I was gonna be eventually knocked off the boat. Some of them would follow with me as well. So, it was a fair fight. I knew a normal iron shield wasn't gonna work, and so I decided to craft a diamond one, since I had gotten a diamond from the chest. But I was ambushed and almost died. Frick, bro. Now that I was on the boat, it was time to take them on head on, but at first I couldn't let the iron guys get to me, as I really should focus on the arrow guys. They were the most annoying and did the most knocking around. Since skeletons can aggro one another, I was kind of able to have the captain killed, but then the other two guys noticed me and I was in trouble. I had now cleared out most of the skeleton guys that were on top and then started moving down low to the captain's quarters where I thought most of the loot was, and it was alright loot, but not enough to justify the means. That's when I made a terrible mistake. Walking straight into the quarters of the skeletons, I tried to block them up, but the amount of spawns that happened here stopped me, and I was being swarmed by them. I was in trouble and in a panic paused the game, but now I managed to eat a golden apple just in time. Still trying to take and process a way out of it. Thanks to efficiency on my axe, I was able to break my way out and let a sea of freaking skeletons fall into the ocean where they would sink and I would be the only one left. Okay, let's Once I was spotted by more skeleton guys, I ran up the stairs and located myself into the steering part of the ship, making sure that they couldn't get to me and giving me enough room to sleep for the night. I decided I wanted the loot that was down in the skeleton's quarters, and I gotta be honest, the loot wasn't worth it. I went down and skeletons immediately started spawning in. Now, these guys, there's so many of them that it was going to be impossible to be able to get to that chest. But I continued to try to push it in and almost got into another swarm with these guys, which probably would have killed them. I was done with the skeleton ship and decided to move on to the pillager one. I already had experience with this kind of place, but as trying to get up, I messed up with the buckets, and so I kind of got an immediate attack. Kind of being outplayed, but I managed to get up and set the water bucket to the point where I could get up here. Starting to land my I charged my way through the boat, taking on any pillager who dared shoot at me. It was kind of easy, and the loot here, though, wasn't even that worth it. It showed the effort. I was not complaining about 2 diamonds, though. I continued running through the boat until I had to get to the second lip. This was the part where I was really nervous. Vindicators, remember those guys? Yeah, they own the second part. But using a block, I managed to separate myself from them, not allowing me to get to them. Then I had managed to break the spawner, allowing me to get to all of the loot, which was still terrible. To seek my revenge on the boat, I used a flint and steel from the pillager boat to burn down the pirate ship. With it all burned, I was able to loot freely and not have any worry about any skeletons trying to kill me. The skeletons would sink to the bottom of the ocean, and that is where they would stay. And they still stay there to this day. I made it back from the burning boat and from the ocean and got my dog and horse together. I even found that soul star that's in my inventory, and I had no idea what it did, but it does say bosses of mass destruction. So there was absolutely no way I am going to that place. Then I accidentally hit my dog with the diamond axe. But after healing him up, I didn't really have to worry about it. I said my apologies to Ash, and then went over to my horse, who I accidentally hit with the diamond axe as well, almost killing him. I'm so stupid. I looked back at the burning boat with a smile, knowing I had done that and I had won the battle. Now my storage room was pretty messy, so day 66 I decided to do a little bit of tidying up in my storage room, and it was extremely boring. I hated it, and I still regret wasting that day. Day 67 was spent trading with the villagers until later that night things got really creepy. While I was trading, I then got the notification of another blood moon, thinking it was going to be another blood moon. I didn't really think much of it, but I was thinking about getting some gunpowder or just some string which I could turn into wool. Creepers. That's a lot of creepers. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. What? So not only was it a blood moon, but it was also a thunderstorm. And I don't know why, it just was. And so I went around killing mobs, teaming up with the Iron Golem to take down anyone who dared enter a little campsite. I don't know what to call this place. I don't think it's really a town. I don't care. He charged at me, and it turns out there was a zombie villager. I honestly really did think that he was coming to attack me. Together, we had fended off multiple amount of mobs, and I decided I should probably light up the area, just so I could see the incoming mobs in the town, and I know, they were going to spawn in anyways. But I even found this little bit of fire. I don't know how that got there. Maybe lightning? I don't know. I decided to trade with a villager. I don't know why. I was just checking on him. Therapy, I guess. I don't know. And so it would be here when I found some blueberries, and I decided to plant them. Everything was going fine at the night until I went out. Found a spider jockey and started attacking it. I didn't really see the skeleton because it was so dark, and I started running away from it. I don't know why. I definitely could have taken him. I don't know why I'm running though. I ran around as fast as I could, got shot in the face by the arrow. After killing the spider, I met up with an old friend. Somebody I recognized. Someone came after me. Seeing the skeleton wolf shocked me to the point where I just didn't feel like fighting it. It just didn't feel right. And so the Iron Golem killed him. That's when I realized who it could have been. It could have... What's that? Is that oak? The Iron Golem completely ignored me, but I couldn't stop asking that question. Was it oak? I didn't know. And so I decided to head out to where Buddy had died. And maybe, just maybe, I could find Buddy again. I could bring him back to life. I checked the hole he had fallen down, but I couldn't find him. Bringing bones in case I could tame him. And that was when Buddy, the skeleton wolf, had attacked him. I decided to run. He was trying to kill me. I just didn't feel like fighting back. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel necessary. He was my old friend, and it just felt pointless to attack. He bit at my ankles the entire time as I was running. Angry barks followed him everywhere he went. I decided I needed to trap him. His anger probably would have gotten him killed by the Iron Golem. So I took him to my horse pen. After trapping him in here, I managed to leave it and leave him in there. Looking back, I couldn't stop thinking if it was Buddy or not. I didn't know.
Who's playing these tricks?
Dude, who's playing these tricks on me? Who is responsible for bringing that man back? Someone brought him back. I didn't know if you could resurrect skeleton dogs or not, and so I went to Googling, is there a way to resurrect Buddy? But
Right?
I couldn't
the
find
frick
it.
Where
Buddy was gonna be a
Buddy
skeleton wolf, someone who hated me
villagers.
forever.
Does he blame me?
I wonder if he had blamed me for his death.
Does he blame me?
I don't think I'd ever get the answer.
What do you...
And just him being there, it burned. That thought, it hurt. It burned. I don't know
I got
why.
really scared for a second.
I noted that when I wasn't around, Buddy didn't want to kill me. But it was when I got closer. His eyes showed his anger. I even got a name tag and I went out to go name Buddy, but every time I looked at him, he got angry. I just felt like it was wrong to keep him in captivity. It would have been a better decision to put him out of his misery. Keeping him was almost like I was torturing him.
You're missed, buddy.
It just didn't feel right.
You're missed.
So I had to come up with a decision to either kill Buddy or keep him here, somewhere where he probably doesn't even belong. Buddy, dude, listen. I don't want to kill you, but dude, you look like you're suffering. If it would be better if you were rested forever, buddy. If you could go to Doggy Heaven, you can meet with Oak. Be best friends. You don't need to see his ash. You don't need to see this one. And so, I came up with the hard decision that I was gonna have to kill Buddy. It was a tough decision, but I had to do it.
Sorry, man. Hope you see Oak.
The sound of his death reminded me the day he fell to his death, and it just hurt. It hurt. It was late at night. I was sleep deprived. I needed a break. It was more emotional to me than it should have been. Okay, I went back home and just did random sorting, and I decided that I was gonna go to the Nether. So I mined up the obsidian and I headed back up. It was day funny number, and I decided I needed to go to the Nether as I wanted to try to kill the Ender Dragon. After checking I had everything, I decided to step on in and head.
Use mouse cursor.
After arriving in here, I immediately started to regret my decision as my headphones started playing a lot of weird and concerning noises. I decided to adventure around for a little bit, but as I went through the forest, I felt like I was being watched. And I was not comfortable with something following me. I don't know what, though. Now I then was walking around, just minding my business, and then I heard a creepy whisper, and at that point, I was not in. And then, I found a little something. I don't even think. Oh, it's COVID. Oh no. Oh no, guys, it's COVID. It's COVID. It's COVID. I think I. Wait a minute. Was I in COVID biome? Oh no. Oh, there's more COVID. There's more COVID. Bro, I was in. There's more COVID. The amount of COVID biomes were around, I immediately headed back home as I did not want to get COVID. Day 70 rolled around, and I wanted to go visit those floating islands from earlier before in, like, I don't know, like on day 20? I don't remember. But I would come across it, and as you can see on the minimap, there were Elder Guardians guarding this place, and so I need to come up with a plan to not die. I do a lot. So, this is gonna be an interesting little... I gunned it for the waterfall, hoping that they would not destroy my boat, and after getting into the waterfall, I swam up safe and sound. It was a little bit anticlimactic, but I found a little something too. There is an ocean monument down here, no wonder. Let's just say, this place wasn't what I was hoping it was gonna be.
Wow. Okay, we don't. Why did I jump so high? There's just pigs here? Bro, I thought this place was gonna be like an epic battle, but nope. They're on that little patch right there. Oh, that doesn't feel right. Dolphins.
While
Let me out
boarding
here,
back,
buddy.
apparently the Elder Guardians or Guardians,
Okay,
they were trying to
literally did
actually
nothing.
kill
I
me.
thought they were gonna do something. They are trying to kill me though. I can hear that.
I did a bit of traveling on day 71, and I think I went home. I don't know. I didn't write this down. Let's see. Alright, yeah. So I did head home on day 71, and I did park up my horse. Now, I did, in fact, want to go to the Nether, and so I applied some enchantments to my diamond helmet before going to the Nether. I wanted to enchant my crossbow, but I really couldn't find anything useful, and I headed into the Nether prepared for my journey and ran into an orange pumpkin. I wasn't going to leave the Nether until I had to go through the fortress, and that even meant going through COVID Forest, but I'd make it through just fine. Now, I went on quite a bit of a journey, so I'm going to put music over it. I found this cool little ore, and so I decided to mine it up, but it turns out it did nothing. So I just mined in the straight direction and hopefully found some other cool ores. I actually find nether lapis too. There were nether ores that were like overworld. So you could actually survive here like you would in the overworld apparently. I actually found the Nether fortress, and after some time killing blazes, I had managed to build myself a little blaze place. This is where I farmed blazes and got enough blaze rods to be able to craft enough eyes of ender, to which I needed to go to the end. Blazes were very annoying though, because they kept setting me on fire and doing a lot of melee damage, which was weird. But after killing the decent amount of blazes I needed, I left immediately, and nothing bad happened to me the entire trip. Oh, okay, I lied about that actually. That was a lie. Upon returning to the portal, I made a quick trip to the overworld to grab all of my gold, which I would then craft to a golden helmet and do some trade to this guy right here, to hopefully get some ender pearls, which I can turn into eyes of ender. But I actually got really scammed by this guy, and so this is what I do to scammers. I end their lives peacefully, and yeah. So I headed back home to where I had the idea of creating a clerk villager who would sell me ender pearls. It was brilliant because I have a lot of bread. Okay, that's all I got. Day 76, I handed all the villagers the bread they needed to create another baby child. So in the meantime, while I waited for that to happen, I chopped down a bunch of trees, which I would turn into planks, which I would turn into sticks, which then would become emeralds. Capitalism. So I continued with the capitalism for quite some time, but I wasn't getting any results with the baby villager. Anyways, so I gave him more bread. Okay, that's all I did. And day 77, I decided I was going to build a trophy room, as I thought it was just appropriate at this point. So after about doing that for pretty much the entire day, nothing much happened. Day 78 came, and this is when things started to change. I would finish up the trophy room house, as this was probably the main thing I did in the morning. But apparently, a child was created in the night of day 77, and I didn't know. So later in the day, he actually grew up and became a clerk, which was perfect for me because I actually needed that. So after finishing up some touches to the trophy room, I immediately began trading with this man. A lot of capitalism. By day 79, I had a decent amount of emeralds in order to not only get a full portal set, but to also save myself from with ender pearls. And so, on day 80, I began the journey for the stronghold, not taking my horse or dogs with me, as I was afraid that I was going to lose them. My first few throws actually fell on my roof, but I picked them up, and as I said my final goodbyes to Ash as well, wishing him luck as I swam into the direction the eyes had taken me. Now, I'm just gonna leave this to a, just gonna cut straight to the part where we get to the stronghold for you guys. You're welcome. On the night of day 80, I had found the location of the stronghold. Thanks to a creeper explosion and the eyes, I found the exact location, allowing me to dig down and fall into the stronghold. Now that I was gonna be inside, I needed to find the end portal. End portals, if you don't know, well, strongholds are kinda like mini mazes. And honestly, if you didn't know that, how are you watching this video? Let's be real, this is a Minecraft channel. You have to watch Minecraft to... Okay, I'm not even gonna ask. Anyways, I found the end portal, and I had to deal with these silverfish at first. Those guys are annoying, by the way. I hate silverfish. So after dealing with the silverfish, I placed the eyes in the portal, and I prepared myself for an adventure. Everything I had done in the last 80 days had led to this fight. It was time to go to war. Now, as I'm falling to my death here, I gotta let you know a little bit about something. I didn't have shaders on, so after being magically teleported up top, I turned shaders on, and oh my god, this was the worst decision I had ever made. It was like I was in heaven.
Oh my god, look at that. Who knew we were in heaven? Okay.
No. Looks like, I had finished up with the shaders. I got BSL up in here now. And it was time for me to begin my fight with the dragon. The fight that I've spent all 80 days to. All I had to do was destroy the towers and then slay the dragon. The dragon had a little bit of a buff, and it wasn't just him and Enderman now. He had some little slime boys too. And the Endermen, let's be real, they didn't like me. And this began my conquest to destroy the Ender Dragon.
Excuse me, guys.
What did I do to you? Ah!
Okay, guys, hey.
Let's be reasonable. Wait, hold up, I hit that? Okay, that's... No.
Oh! Ah, they're smart.
Can you not? Bro. Okay. Why do they do so much damage? Why are you mad at me? What did I do? After escaping the horde of Endermen at this point, it was ridiculous how many of them were mad at me. So I sat back and just farmed Endermen for the time being, hoping that the dragon wasn't about to drop a dragon breath on bomb right on my face. I sat there and I hoped. I knew the dragon was about to strike. I just didn't know when.
Be able to see out.
After the Enderman horde was gone, I began my attack. Now that all the crystals were destroyed, there was only one thing left to do, and that was to kill a dragon. The dragon fight was taking a lot longer than originally expected. I would shoot at him with the arrows and try to rip him through the middle, but all he would do was just knock me down. I would try to attack him with the axe when he got up close, but that didn't really do much for me. The translucent slimes, or whatever they're called, they would do a ton of damage, taking down a lot of my health. I had to just run away from these guys a lot, because they hurt me. Yes! I would yell, but... okay. After getting some XP, all the Ender Dragon XP, I found an Elytra. Yeah, once you kill the dragon, you can get Elytra, and this immediately started making me rethink my decision to go to the end city. Now that I had an Elytra, there was really no point, but I still wanted to go because I thought it'd be cool. Now I also had the Ender Dragon egg, and after being confused, I bought the Ender Dragon egg, and when I went to go grab it a second time, I noticed another Ender Dragon egg. By killing the Ender Dragon, I had gotten 2 Ender Dragon eggs. To make sure this wasn't a glitch, I bought the second egg, and it turns out that I was able to get 2 dragon eggs. I don't know if this is a glitch. I don't know what this is, but I wasn't complaining. I had 2 dragon eggs now, and I was even richer than any man could ever believe. I didn't know if you could hatch one or not, but I was so confused. We not only have 1, but 2 dragon eggs, baby. There's literally no point in going there. There's no point. We have the Elytra. It's kind of weird. I decided I was going to go to the end city and through the gateway, as I wanted shulker boxes because those are just the most investment things. But before going, I went around around the end island, or whatever this place is called, and found some of these ores. I didn't know if they were useful or not, or you could craft some armor more powerful than netherite, but I would pick some up because I just couldn't help myself, okay? And I'd have to fight another slime, and I immediately ran away from this guy because you don't mess with these slimes. Now, after bridging over to the end gateway, I took off my chest plate to put on the Elytra, because that's what you usually do. Now I headed through the gateway and showed up in the new end biomes. The end biomes are super cool with this BetterMinecraft mod pack, and it just makes Minecraft look a lot cooler, especially for end adventuring. With my Elytra, I also had some fireworks which I had crafted in the overworld, which would allow me to fly around and not really have to worry about walking at all. So I decided I was going to begin my flying journey.
But before checking out the end city, I checked out this ender whale or whatever it's called. It just looks really cool, you know, just seeing how awesome Better Minecraft really is. I honestly really wish Minecraft was more like this. So I needed blocks, and so I went down mining for just some cobblestone, I guess. And I met my old friend, the Phantoms. They had strength now, which was kind of weird and unfair. But I ignored them, ran into the airship, and went in straight to the area where all the loot was. Seeing that there was a lot of loot here made me really happy, and I immediately broke the spawners.
I went into the end city, not really knowing what to expect or what to prepare for. But then I was introduced to my new best friends, the Shulkers. Shulkers, they immediately started shooting at me, and if you don't know about Shulkers, with these little thingies, they can float up in the air, and you are floating for quite a bit of time. It's very annoying depending on how many Shulkers there are in the room. I really struggled fighting these people as they constantly went on the air. To be honest, I was starting to really hate shoulders. Every time I had the levitation effect removed, it felt like I was just gonna get hit by another. So I had to use the levitation just to, some way, somehow, kill these guys, just so they couldn't keep hitting me. But because there were spawners, it kept spawning in more and more shoulders, which was not a good deal for me. I spent way more time in this looting room than I ever wanted to, as there was a spawner up here which kept spawning in shulkers. And they weren't normal shulkers, they also had strength and regeneration. Now the loot here was pretty decent, having shulker boxes, which is where I stored all of the good loot, all of the ores, and all that jazz. Now, I did also get a totem of undying for the void, which meant if I were to fall into the void, this thing would save my life. Which was completely fine by me, as I didn't want to die in the void. I'd get some diamond tools every now and then, and having a sword with enchantments like Unbreaking 3 and Mending weren't actually too bad at the time, as my sword didn't really have much on it. Now, I kept looting this place for just quite a bit, and I felt like I didn't really need to continue being bullied by these shulker boxes, so I just kind of like gave up towards this point of the city. So I wanted this green shiny block, and I immediately ran down for it, running for my life from more of the levitation missiles, but at this point I gave up with the end city. So I put my elytra on and tried to not get hit by more of the missiles. Once the levitation run out, I would fly off, and with my fireworks, I would be a goner. Not in a dead way, though. After a bit of traveling, I'd come across another end city. Just because I wanted the shulker boxes and loot inside, I went to the bottom. But again, I struggled with the shulkers, and I just decided to use... Oh yeah, by the way, I actually figured out that you can put on your chest plate with the elytra, which was a game changer for me. Anyways, I had to deal with the shulkers, and I immediately regretted going in. As you can tell, I hate shulkers. These guys were just so annoying and I could not stand it. To be honest, the loot wasn't even that good. This was pointless. It was a waste of my time. correctly, making sure to steal all the important stuff, and then I continue flying. Now I then came across my third end city. Now this one was a little bigger, but I decided I was going to go through the roof, expecting not to really deal with that many shulkers. Guess what? I was wrong. Now I started to want to go back home, but I ran into my fourth end city, and I just wanted the green block in the middle, so that would be the only thing I would grab before dipping and running for my life. But there was also a loop at the time, so I remember that and came back to the top, dealing with a lot more missiles and regretting their comments. I found another airship which had Elytra and pretty decent loot in the chests as well. So I immediately took the Elytra and the pedestal, and then got up and left. But while I was leaving, one of the phantoms started chasing me down. It was a race, but thanks to the fireworks I had, I was able to beat him. So then I came across another end city, like airship thingy, whatever, and began looting it again. More Elytra, more loot, all that jizz. It was all mine. And so then I continued flying. I flew past one of my old end cities and headed back to my home gateway. The journey wasn't terrible, and I was not having too bad of a time. I tried getting this Ender Dragon head at one of the airships, and I didn't really do a good job at getting it. But I would finally find the end gateway to my home, and I was very happy. And after throwing in the Ender Pearl to go home, I had to head to the portal. After almost falling off here, I was very scared too. I ran to the portal. Now, after jumping in, I ran into a bit of a problem with this exiting screen.
Minecraft. How do you skip this? Oh, you can go by it pretty fast.
Help.
To exit Minecraft loading screen. And wait. Oh, you can go by it faster. Oh my goodness. Oh, it was scale.
I would arrive on day 85, happy, and now I needed to change back from my BSL shaders. And so after doing that, I came to go and get Ash, who had been sitting on the dock for like 3 days. I felt bad about it, but it's okay. He understands. For day 85, I kind of just placed these pedestals in the like treasure house, whatever, and just placed the treasures on the pedestals. That's all I did. Day 86 came, and it was doing some storage arrangements, considering I now had new loot. I decided the old chest look wasn't going to work, and so after going to the treasure room and looking at my shulker boxes, I decided to change up the chest room. Now, it was going to be a little weird of a situation, but before doing all of that, I kinda, on the night of day 86, wanted to go and get creepers. I wanted to go kill creepers because I needed fireworks. So after a bit of a traveling around, I would run into a few creepers, kill them, get the gunpowder, and I think you know what I was doing. Now, I actually ran into a good amount of creepers on this night, but would fail to kill them because, you know, I'm not that good at Minecraft. And they would explode here and there. But, I kind of suck at this game. Now, I did, and on the night of day 86, ran into a pillager outpost. Being reminded of how Buddy died to a pillager, I decided to start killing them. And this would go on all night. Just kept on killing them until I was satisfied. It started becoming daytime, and as I was plowing through pillagers, I ran into the captain. Now, I completely forgot that I was going to get that omen because, again, I'm kind of an idiot. So when it was becoming day 87, I decided I was going to head back home as I thought I had enough gunpowder for more fireworks. After arriving home, I immediately realized my mistake. Oh no. Oh no. Guys. Oof. We got
Why are you running in and out of your house? Blocking up the villagers' houses, I was using the mini-map to find the location of the pillagers. They were somewhere in this forest, and there were quite a few of them. Using the cover of the trees, I managed to farm at them, but with their pillager crossbows, they were able to get me. So I took a roundabout route and killed all of the pillagers who dared oppose me. After dealing with this raid, I had to then focus on the next one, which, I mean, this was only the first one, and I was struggling. We're in for a long ride. Enjoy the raid, I guess. I would take a vantage point on the top of my house. The iron golems would go in, and I flew in to go help them out. But the iron golem would do most of the work. Oh no. Oh no, we got it. Guys, oh my god. Why? How? I asked how. What? Freaking Orca Ravager. I had cleared up most of the enemies on the night of day 88 with some help from my iron golem friend. But the raid wasn't over. There were still 2 guys left. Who remained? Down here. After entering the cave where Buddy had died, I had found the final 2 pillagers. They were hanging out down here, and I was finally glad to get some closure on this cave. They are down here. And so I went down and killed the Vindicator, and that was it. I had done it. There was a evoker down here, by the way. That's why there's a hex here. I killed him and got the totem. After I completed the raid.
We did it!
It started. Get me out of here. Oh my god.
was very happy that the raid was over, and I made a round trip around the village to make sure everyone was okay. Now I had a new trophy to the trophy house, which was in fact the Totem of Undying. Breaking free from the blocks of each villager house, I was ready to enjoy the rest of the day. For basically the rest of day 89, it was spent spicing up the trophy room, making the inside just look a lot cleaner than it originally looked like. I then crafted some torches and decided to place some torches around the base, as I thought the current look for torches was pretty ugly, so I thought about changing it up. I was thinking about adding a pathway to the base, as I thought that was just cool. So when it stopped snowing, I added a nice little fountain using one of the end lanterns I had gotten from the end, and then I began adding a pathway. Day 90 was spent using some of the ores that I got from the end and turning them into actual things, helping me create this cool looking sword. I know, it's pretty cool looking. Nothing much was done on day 90 except a lot of organization and chopping down trees, because I needed the wood in order to, not for sticks, but to actually build a little art gallery, which I decided to make because I was bored. By the night of day 90, I had finished the Galleria and put all sorts of random paintings in the wall. Day 91, I crit out my armor stand because I wanted to decorate my room. I thought it was pretty bland, and I thought I could add some things to it, like a new closet, a nice little bookshelf, and I also added little plates to where my kitchen table was. I don't know why, I just thought it was cool. Then I added the pathway to the Galleria. I would finish up day 91 by trading with villagers. Pretty much for the entire daytime of day 92, I spent switching out my chests for shulker boxes. Then the night came, and I decided to dig a little bit deeper into the backstory of the BetterMinecraft world. While he was alive, there was this, we came across a gravesite, and it actually had, these books, let's just say it was pretty bloody. Yeah, exactly. And so, we found these books, and I'm gonna read you what this, okay. So I'm gonna read you the consequence. Day 162. They came at night, breaking the doors of our homes and dragging us into the night. They were our neighbors, our friends and family. I couldn't believe what he has done to them. A man, they called him Robert, took my brother first. I heard the lever pull and the trapdoors open. I couldn't look up. I just couldn't. The men of my village are whispering. They want to ambush the guards while they are distracted. Robert looked at me. I am next. So that guy's pretty much probably dead. Now, I'm gonna take this book. Now, after the consequence, we have Robert's diary. Forgive me for what I'm going to do. Villagers got infected. They will turn into mindless creatures, killing everything they see. I need to prevent this. Who else will? All the children, all my friends, they need to die. I need to save them. I need to save the rest of us. Who else will? So, reading this book, it looks like the consequence by a villager. We're gonna name Villager and Robert. So, basically, there's a virus that was infecting villagers, and the villagers didn't know about it. Okay, they didn't know about it. But then Robert, he knew it was infecting villagers, and so instead of being like, "Hey guys, virus, let's quarantine these dudes," he decided just to kill all the villagers. That's probably the most reasonable thing we have.
But you know what? The consequence is longer, and I would read it more. Anyways, so that's gonna be the book that we're gonna read. Just cause, why not? Day 93 through day 94 were literally all spent creating. Remember that computer typing screen you saw in the beginning? Yeah, that's what I spent day 93 and day 94 doing. Day 95, I had gotten up and had actually decided to leave that room. After leaving the room, I had to come up with an idea to tidy up the town. I felt like there were some places here that could have had a little bit more decoration to them. And so, in the art gallery, I added a little table line and some seats, just to give this place a nice little feel to it, and I was by myself. I also had my horse here, who has been here with me for quite a while. I decided, since I had the elytra, I wasn't going to use him anymore. So I went out chopping down trees, and came up with the idea to build my horse a retirement home, because that's just who I am at this point. So after sunset, I decided to get to work on it for day 96. Working up on the roof and just keeping up with the villager house theme. This actually took a lot longer than I expected, just because it was bigger than most houses, and it was also for a horse, not a villager. So I would be working on the interior and doing a lot on this day. I enjoyed working on my horse's house, and I also had to come up with a name for him as well. I would actually name the horse after putting in this interior bit. I would add a chest and a little feeding area for him, so I didn't have to feed him on the regular. And so then I had to come up with an idea to name the horse. Now, there are a lot of horse names out there, but recently I was introduced to a certain show with a horse called, it was like a cartoon show. It was a cartoon show named Bo Jackson Horseman. You know that? Yeah, that's what I named the horse. I don't know why. I don't know. Okay, don't kill me. Okay, I was bored, really bored. So here's even the evidence. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, people. Horseman.
After naming my horse Bojack, I made sure to put a sign outside of his house indicating that he was retired. Okay, we gotta make sure people know. So then I needed to turn his old stable into a monument. That's what those two signs are for. And so then, pretty much for the rest of the day, I just added a pathway to his house. And then, on the morning of day 99, I sat and reminisced everything I had done. This was going to be the final day until I had gone to that well that I was talking about.
Yeah, went to war.
The elytra from the end. The dragon egg, which, this is ridiculous. Like, look at this. I can literally duel dragon eggs. I can literally duel dragon eggs, and you're telling me this is like, bro, a bro moment? Fool. It's ridiculous. Oh no. The dragon egg, no. Uh-oh. Where'd my dragon egg go? Boy, I swear, this dragon egg... There it is. The retired diamond shield, which you had for a long time. And the die, we can just have this as like a wolf. This is like the wolf memorial. And this is this is just to show the raids, the battles, and all that we've been through to get here. Dude, I honestly am so happy that it's almost actually over. It's great.
the old days. Home with a horse for like 75% of the 100 days. I had that horse for some time. And it's kind of ridiculous that it even was here for like as long as it was. We've created each and every one of these villager houses, each driving me insane for a few days. Oh my goodness. And the retirement home where horse came in clutch. Bojack, the MVP, who is now officially retired. But this is, it's not even an oak tree. Oh my god, I should have done an oak tree. But this is the Buddy, the man who, Buddy was the best of us. He was true trooper, and it was a sad day when, you know, he died to the freaking raid. And Oak really was the most jumpiest dog. He really did jump off a lot of things. He did like to be adventurous. The two sacrifices won't be in vain, man. That's kind of what matters. Oh, why water? Okay, buddy. But like, it's not over. It's sad, you know, that we lost these two. They will be remembered, and I will never forget them. Hey guys, you know, there's one thing we can all learn from these 100 days. It's that if you adventure gives you real huge rewards, but it also can come at the lives of your best friends or your besties, you know? Adventuring is dangerous, but it comes at a price that it's worth it. And I have everything I have because of Buddy. Buddy was on me on that adventure, and Buddy was on me with that adventure. He was there when I started to become powerful. And that's, you know, and you know, eventually he would kind of like die. And it's kind of my fault because I took him on the adventure, and sure, we got to where we are today, but at what cost? The lives of two great dogs, my sanity that was lost, and that's pretty much about it. Honestly, that's about it. But I'd like to thank you three for being with me the 100 days. I said goodnight to my dogs for one final time. It was a good day of reminiscing everything, and I even said goodbye to that blue axolotl named Crystal. And so, I woke up on day 100. I had survived 100 days in BetterMinecraft, and now I was gonna see if I had lost it all to just jumping down a well. I didn't know if it was gonna take me to some multi-dimensional dimension, or if it was just gonna slash instant kill me. I didn't know, but I said goodbye to Buddy and Oak, which I thought could be the last time I say goodbye. And so, it was time to fly off to the well. Now, I had finally arrived at the well, and I jumped.
And all we have to do now is jump. Well, here goes nothing. What the hell? What? Is that it? What? Wait a minute. There was... What the... That's it? This is so anticlimactic. Okay, I know, that was literally the most anticlimactic thing that I had experienced. But I made it home, and I was honestly kind of happy I didn't die immediately, but I also was pretty mad because I thought something cool might have happened. I said hello to my dogs and told them what happened. Again, they probably don't understand me, but I'm too stupid to acknowledge that. I thought about everything I've had at this moment in time, everything I had done, and there were some things that I did that I am proud of and some things that I will always regret. But there are just two things that I will regret not being able to do, and that would be to say that I'd be able to save Oak or Buddy. I know I could have done more. I was definitely geared out and had the ability to stop their deaths, but I had failed, and I blamed myself for it, and I don't think I will ever forget that guilt or pain. Thank you for everything. I miss you too. I like how the candle's been going ever since you died, buddy. It's just like the flame of your memory. You'll always be there. You're literally like a campfire. No matter what, your memory won't go out. And Oak, you started at the bottom. You were just a tiny little dog, and like it didn't really do much for you. And then you grew to something bigger. Goodbye, Oak. Anyways, it's over, dudes. It's been an interesting 100 days. And the sun sets, man.
And that is it. 100 days in BetterMinecraft. I had done it, and I was, oh my god, I was so happy for it to be over. And I loved enjoying making this video so much that if this video does well, I will probably do a 200 days. On the night of day 100, I know it's kind of already over, but I just wanted to reminisce one last time. And that's when I realized I had not acknowledged this blue axolotl for like 80 days. He had been swimming there 80 days straight without any acknowledgement. Honestly, I'm kind of stupid, but I didn't really care. This was just a blue axolotl. I prefer the dogs a little bit more. I say goodbye, goodnight to the dogs one last time, and I don't know what this is. I thought about going to bed, but before I could do that, I had to say goodbye to Oak and Buddy for the final time. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.